It's out there. You don't teach me more than that. Yeah, stay close. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone, to our October meeting. Only 2 months left in this year. And so feels like it's moving fast, but it also feels like it's been a long year. So welcome to our October meeting. We are going to follow our agenda. If you have a copy of that, we will start with our invocation, followed by our pledge. We do ask that you stand as we recite our pledge. We're going to ask Pastor Wesley Mars from Oswald Baptist to give us an invocation. I can call him Pastor now. Later on, I'll be calling him Chief, but we'll stick with Pastor for now.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's pray. Father, we bow our heads tonight. We thank you for the opportunity we have to call upon your name one more time. We thank you for life and strength you blessed us with today. We're thankful for our community. We're thankful for our town. And Lord, the people of it. And Lord, we pray that you'd be with the meeting tonight. We pray that you'd bless those decision makers and those as they conduct the business of this town. All those that are part of this meeting, we pray that you'd bless. Lord, we thank you for your son that died so that we could all have eternal life if we'll put our trust and faith in him. We ask all these blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Morris, for that. And Council, you have your agenda in front of you. We are missing a couple of council members tonight. They are excused, and we'll proceed with our agenda as follows. I would ask, first, Council, is there any adjustments to tonight's agenda? Staff, is there any adjustments?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. We have had an email request from the Development Director, items number 15, annexation request, non-contiguous, applicant Dorothy Collins Properties. Also, item number 16, applicant Dorothy Collins, project River Rock, Perth Road. Due to two principals in that project not being available tonight, they are requesting a 1-month deferral. And if you also approve, we'd like to remove those from the agenda to be considered. That way, a lot of these folks that are here for those projects can return if you also approve the adjustment to the agenda.
Okay. So, Council, there's one adjustment to the agenda as requested. Any other adjustments? Okay. If not, Council, I will ask in one vote that we approve the agenda as requested, with the one request to defer that to 1 month. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda with the two noted items.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any question or comment? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. For those of you who were here for that annexation and rezoning, it will be deferred for 1 month, and we will move forward with it at that time. Thank you for that.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to also respectfully give a minute or two to these folks. We'd love for them to stay for the entire meeting, but if that's the only item agenda that they was here for, just give them a minute or two to exit the room if that's what they desire.
Sure. They are all welcome to stay.
Encouraged.
Encouraged. Yes. Thank you. If not, you're welcome to, I don't know what's on tonight, but yeah, you're welcome to.
Thursday night football.
Football.
Thursday night football.
The Bears.
Awesome.
The Redskins. Commanders play tonight.
And
It's not a good game. It's the Bears and the Commanders, so they can't say they're all leaving for that.
All right, so with that, we will proceed with our agenda. Next item on the agenda is consent items. We've got several sets of minutes and annexation requests for Shin's Farms, setting the public hearing date for November 10th. And we've got a facade approval, as well as a mobility plan agreement. In addition, we've got a budget amendment for the police department. And those are our agenda items. Council, unless you decide that there's an item that needs to be removed, I'll ask for a motion to approve our consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made, received a second. Any question or comment? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. The next item on the agenda are standing reports. The first one is our J. Hoyt Hayes Memorial Troutman Library quarterly report, and I believe we have our branch manager, Ms. Hicks, here.
Hi, I'm Tamara Hicks, the branch manager. I just wanted to give you kind of a recap from the last kind of quarter, or actually June to September. We have now got regular in-person story time for the toddlers and preschoolers on Tuesdays and Fridays respectively, and we do a teens program once a month on a Thursday. We've increased our adult programs. We have Pinterest on one Saturday a month. We've also started a new book club for adults in person. And we also started a coloring class where they can come in and just relax and chill and, that kind
Adults
of
or children?
Adults, please. It's colored pencils, it's not crayons, okay? But we've been passing out a lot of what we call take and makes, where we have crafts and stuff for the kids and adults to take home. And in the past 4 months, we sent home 1,534 crafts for them to take. And most of those are educational in some way or form, kind of with the STEM program type of thing. But we also do a little mailbox in the library for kids to encourage them to make work on their writing skills. We give them a writing prompt each week, something different. And that has produced about 273 little responses from the kids. Most of them are rather comical. But for that time period of June to September, we had 55 programs in person for the kids with 960 people attending. We had 5 programs for the teens with only 15. We're working on those. And we had 7 programs for the adults with 50 people. Our public computers percentages have been up. The usage, the people coming into the library is up to 535. And in the month of June, from June to September, we had over 21,600 patrons come in the door. So we consider that a lot. With also the total checkouts during just those 4 months was 22,950. So it's a lot. We've been seeing a lot of new increase. We've actually. What was that time frame again? Which one?
June to September.
June to September, I'm sorry. Yeah, and during that time, we've also signed up 140 new library cards. So we're growing leaps and bounds. Our summer reading program did end since Kelly's last report, and we had a really good turnout. It was great to have people back in the library doing some in-person programming. That was great. During the program, we had 22 in-person programs, and we had over 370 people attend. And the library staff has already started on next year's, which the theme for next year's summer reading is called All Together Now. Don't ask. We didn't plan it. It's going to be a challenge, but anyway. We also have early voting again at the library, like we did in the spring. It'll start on October 20th. We've made some changes since the last one, and so hopefully the way we have it in the library will be laid out better for the voters and for the patrons so that we can do our jobs and they can vote in privacy. We're working on it. We also are going to use some of the county signs, the real big sandwich board signs, to put at both of the driveways to let the public know that the library is still open, because that was a big concern last time. People weren't coming in. We've kind of cleaned up the book sale area of our library that was kind of getting pretty junky, and we cleaned it all up, and we're able to repurpose some of the bookcases and stuff we had back there to utilize to help us spread just a little bit, because we're busting at the seams in some of our books, and it's making it a little bit neater for the patrons to be able to get around. I told you about the book club. Let's see. Oh, the book club that we are doing for the adults now that we did in person, we're doing one now. It's called What Are You Reading? And we don't have a theme. We don't have a set book. It's just people can come and talk about whatever they are reading. And it's really turning out to be really great. Everybody's liking hearing what other people are reading, and it does spark some interest on other things. And we have had a few changes with the staff in the library. As you know, I took over as branch manager from Kelly Goodwin. I started at the end of June, so that left my position as the program specialist open, which our part-timer library assistant, Katie Bradley, took over, and she's doing a knockout job. But that left her part-time position open. So that was filled by a young lady here in Troutman named Stephanie Rowe, who was an art teacher and just decided she didn't want to teach anymore, and she wanted to come and work in the library. And if you have time, come by, because Katie is really decorating that library up, so it looks great. And that's it.
Great. Thank you. Any questions?
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
I know you said you're growing, you have a lot of people coming in. I have a 14-year-old and 11-year-old, but I don't see like any emails or anything. How do you do most of your marketing? Do I have to like put myself on an email list, or how do people?
No, are you on any kind of social media?
No.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Yes, I am. Yes,
I know. I know that they do advertise it on that, but you can go onto the library website at any time, and it shows you all the programs and just lists by whichever branch is closest for you or what have you. And if you need to register for them, it gives you a QR code to register right there on spot. And if you have any questions, just call the library and we'll help you. We'll walk you through it. We'll do it for you. Okay.
Thank you. We will now follow with our Troutman Fire Department quarterly report. I believe Fire Chief Morris is here. Oh, yeah, he is.
Good evening. How are you, Mayor and Council? Thank you for allowing us to come give a report, staff. Couple things going on around the fire department that will catch you up. Some of it may be just to remind you of maybe what we mentioned the last time we were here, but we have been in the hiring process over the last several months. We had that hiring process was to fill 8 positions that we had. 6 was new positions that we are adding, and 2 of those were to fill some vacant spots. And we do have those, and they are set to start this coming Monday, October the 17th. And they will start a rookie class school through the fire department, and there's some training that we've got to do before we can put them on the truck, but we're hoping that all this training will be completed and they'll be on the truck by the first of the year. With that, we will be, at that time, we'll be up to 27 24-hour personnel staffing total. And then, so that will put us 9 per shift. 24 hours, and the way we're going to staff at this time. And this may just kind of be a reminder. I've probably shared that with you the last time we were here, but we're going to have 4 personnel at Station 1, the main station. We'll have 3 personnel at Station 2, and then 2 personnel at Station 3 out on Pineville Road. We do have, and I may have told you this when we were here last time, but we did order, and like anything else, it is extended on delivery times and build times for everything else, but we do have a new engine that should be coming in sometime the first of the year, hopefully, if everything goes well. We are still in our Station 3 project. It is going very, very slow. We did finally get a building permit. Now we're waiting on the power company to relocate some power so that we can proceed on. And that's kind of had us held up for a couple months, but hopefully we'll get that, and that's going to do our upfit that we've shared with you about some more living quarters over there and that kind of space for this new engine that we'll put over there. We have conducted a promotional process. We've got 3 captains' positions. Those 3 captains' positions will be down at Station 3. So we'll, at that time, have 2 captains on shift every day. The calls are looking like that we're going to be more this year than we were last year. They're continuing to increase. So based on our monthly totals, it looks like we're going to be running more calls this year than we even did last year. I feel like that we, not exactly sure, there's some variations there, but looks like we're going to be pushing close to 3,000 calls this year. So, but that's kind of what's going on other than business as usual around the fire department.
Great. Any questions for Chief Morris?
Just you said it's an increase. How many calls did you have last year?
We had 2,500 last year. And so we're looking at around 2,800, 2,900 this year, if it continues like it's been.
Other questions? Thank you, Chief.
Now, I hope you'll excuse us. We've got somewhere else to go, so we're going
Absolutely.
to have to slip out. So
Chief
thank you.
and council, if you all will spare me a minute, the chief and I, just so you all know, have tried to address an issue and to give you all an update in front of our citizens. The fire districts kind of overlap sometimes, and that's a good thing when they're backing each other up. But some of them also logistically don't make sense, and we need to explain to our citizens that the chief and I have been working in concert to try to rectify what we feel like is some fire jurisdiction from Troutman Fire and our responsibility as a town. And in doing so, we have checked with the North Carolina State Fire Marshal's office to make sure that what we wanted to accomplish was okay and met their criteria as being allowed. So, for example, I will use a couple developments on Westmoreland Road that have come into our town limits that we have adopted. They're in our town of Troutman limits, but they're in a fire district of Shepherd's Fire Department. And we have simply requested to the county that if we take the property and annex it into our town limits, that jurisdiction then be moved to Troutman Fire so that we're serving the citizens that they represent by their name. And due to the fire stations that Troutman Fire has built, we feel more than confident that we have adequate time, personnel to respond and to get to these adequately. That is no disrespect intended toward any other department to where we may have crossing boundaries, but to us it's just logical that if it's in the town limits of Troutman, that Troutman Fire respond if there's an incident or issue to where they're needed. Chief, is there anything you'd like to add to what I said?
And I will give an update, and I apologize, I maybe should have done that. That has been approved, and that's been taken care of. So at this point, anything that's annexed by the town of Troutman will now come into our primary fire district and primary response. So, for example, the development that's going across from Sutter's Mill on Westmoreland Road, that's in the grading phase now, that has become our fire district now. So from now on, it's going to be done like that. So just an update on that.
Thank you,
you.
Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
support.
Appreciate it. Next item is our ABC quarterly report. I believe I have our board president, everything here, Mr. Getzinger. So,
Good evening,
Good to see
Mayor
you.
and fellow council members and town staff, citizens of Troutman. I do understand that tonight I need to be looking straight ahead and speaking to my audience, even though it was counterintuitive if you think about it. The people were behind me, so it just didn't.
totally
Anyway.
understand.
I'm a smarter man than I was last month. Anyway, on behalf of the Troutman ABC Board, my fellow board members, Wes Edmonston, Kim Cavan and General Manager Evelyn Wells, thank you for the opportunity to be here to update you on our store's performance for our first quarter of the fiscal year 2022 and 2023. And Mayor, you made mention about it seemed like there's been some long days. I was thinking when you said that, the longest day of the year I thought used to be June 21st, but last month it was Planning and Zoning Board meeting and then the council meeting that followed that. Those were, without a doubt, the two longest days I've lived in Troutman. But anyway, for our first quarter, for openers, we got a clean audit from our auditor, so we had no findings of fact and no findings of concern, so we're clear to go for the coming year. And we did enjoy a slight increase of 1.3% in the first quarter over last year's first quarter. We did sales of $753,737. That was driven primarily by the fact that we did 7% increase in July over the previous July, which was $258,700. In August and September, we had slight decreases over the previous months for the previous year. We had a 2.1% decrease in August and a 1.3% decrease in September. And we still did $248,000 in August and $246,500 in September. So we're 2% ahead of budget for the fiscal year. Our budget for this year is $2.8 million. If everything were to ring out as it stands right now, we would do about $3.1 million for the year based on current numbers. But we believe that, we're in the second quarter now, and we're already starting to see that it's coming out. We're coming out of the gate slow with October. And the only thing that we can relate that to is what's going on in the economy as a whole around the world. People are having to make wiser spending decisions about how they use their resources to be able to make ends meet. And I can't speak for the other ABC boards around the area as to how they're doing, but we, again, part of what holds us back in cases like this is the ability, we don't have the mixed beverage sales that a lot of other boards do have. But our retail sales remain robust. We did have distributions for the first quarter. The town will receive $20,744. Law enforcement will receive $3,100, and alcohol, drug, and education will get $4,332. Net profit for the first quarter was $54,692, and that's 7% of sales, and that's somewhat around target of what we try to achieve is 7% of sales. It was $9,000 less than last year's net profit, but that is attributable to increased payroll because we have pay raises for all of our staff to recognize the contributions they make and making sure that we were able to retain the folks that we've got, because there's a lot of opportunities out there right now, and we needed to show the appreciation that we have for what they do and the things they do to make us successful. And that also includes General Manager Wall's annual increase. But it also includes the payment for the audit. We normally pay that in either October or November, but he got us the bill in September, so we paid it in September. So that's $5,300 right there of the difference in the net profit. And let's see. The first quarter sales is 27% of what our annual budget is. Our budgeted net profit for this coming year is $88,000. We had a net profit of 54,692, so we're at 62% of what our budgeted net profit is already. Our current retained working capital is $513,404, and that's money that we, by statute and by board approval, is to be retained to go towards building a second store or taking care of unforecasted expenses in the current store. Since we opened, we've experienced 11,932,000 in net sales. We've given back $248,220 to the town. In distributions, we've given back $55,000 to alcohol education and rehab, and $39,000 to law enforcement, for a total of $342,000 in net distributions. We've had a net profit of $833,500 over the period of time since we've been open, and that works out to 7% of our net sales. So that's right on target. We're at full staffing at the moment. We do foresee between now and the end of the fiscal year that we're going to need to add a part-time administrative position, somebody to help Evelyn with bookkeeping and helping me with putting together the monthly or the quarterly reports. And that's my report, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions for Mr. Getzinger?
I should know the answer to this, but when did you open? You said 11 million since you opened. What year?
December 1st, 2016.
2016, $11 million since 2016.
Almost 12, yeah, 11,932. So we'll go over 12 by the time we gather to see one another next.
And,
I say that, if not, I won't be here. Somebody else will
You'll
be.
be
and
here.
just a reminder to everybody, the experts had said it would take 7 years to make an annual 1 million in sales. So they obviously compared us to the wrong towns.
Well,
Leighton, just a question because of the inflation. Has the inflation hit the alcohol industry like a bottle that costs, $30 and $2.19, $2.20, or $2.21? Is it much more like inflation for other products?
it's funny you should ask that question because I called Evelyn from my car today going to a doctor's appointment saying, look, I know this question's going to come up tonight. I said, but the answer to your question is yes and no. As you would recall from your time with the store, that we have quarterly price increases and decreases with various vendors, putting products on sale or taking their product off sale and taking it back up to retail. And so we do have some products that are making increases without having gone into a decrease to begin with. But for the most part, we're still seeing vendors that are putting product on sale. So it's hard to know whether when that product comes off sale, if it comes back at former retail or if it'll come back at an increased retail, which more than likely it will if things continue the way they are. But I would say in aggregate, yes, that we are seeing an increase. It's just hard to quantify because of the way they do. We write close to 100 checks a month to various vendors.
Right.
For the product that we carry. It's a crazy way of doing business, but it's the way everybody does it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So Mr. Now, I asked the one question I have. The other piece is on supply chain. I mean, are you seeing product coming from the state? Everything is supply chain good right now, or still seeing issues there?
Well, there are still some issues out there, but we are starting to get product that was very difficult to get. We're starting to see again the tequila that was very difficult to get. Part of the problem there was getting containers. Glass was hard to come by. That was more of a problem than the liquor itself. Jim Beam got out of the glass business and put their high-end products in plastic half gallons just to be able to stay in the market because they couldn't get glass for a while. But even glass is now, becoming available to the distillers, and there are a few products that are still on allocation. The state gets it, but because of our size, we get lesser of it than others do. But I will say that Tito's is like the #1 seller, and not just vodka, but across the board. And we couldn't give Tito's away when we first opened, and now we can't keep it on the shelves. But we bought a big batch of that this last purchase just to be able to, because they had it on sale of all things. You would think with a product like that they wouldn't have to put it on sale, but
Right.
they do.
Other question, any update on second store that you can share?
There's a couple of administrative items that we have been waiting to work through, and I've been recently informed that it looks like those items will be addressed and dealt with to allow for us to begin to move forward. And when, I would say probably within the next 90 days. And with that being said, we will be then putting together our request to come in, and we're going to need to annex the property and then to get it rezoned to be highway business.
Great.
But
Thank you.
but we are, everything's moving in the direction, and we knew it was going to take some time when we bought the land, but we got such a good deal on it. We felt like we needed to snatch it up while we could.
Okay, great. That was my Mr. Hinkle question. So
Okay.
No, he's not here, but I'm channeling him. for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you and your board and your employees. If you could just please take it back for the job that they're doing for our community, please.
Well-
At our agenda meeting, sometimes we got to really thank our people because they deserve thanks with the job that they're doing, sir.
Well, you can be rest assured, they hear that after every time that either I or Evelyn come to make the presentation, and we thank you for your appreciation, but we enjoy what we do, we have fun, and we're excited. Once we get that second store up and operating, and we'll be in a place where we can start doing more in voluntary distributions outside of the mandatory distributions, which is what will really make having gotten into the alcohol business really worthwhile.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll move to our public comments section. The public is invited to address town council with comments and concerns. The public is limited to 3 minutes per individual. Speakers are required to sign in and adhere to Policy 51, which is governing our comments from the public at town meetings. At this time, I will start by asking our town clerk if she's received any. Okay. I'll ask Mr. Barker if there's any. All right. Anyone here in the audience like to address the council with any comments or concerns?
I would.
Welcome.
Mr. Mayor, Council.
You look familiar.
I had not intended to speak at this point, but you seem to have a pretty open agenda. I think I would take advantage of the moment. My name is Paul Bryant. I'm a local resident. And the first thing I'd like to say, if I can turn, I won't ask a question. Wow, 12 million. That's a lot of juice. Number one. Number two is it is still extremely difficult to find rare collectible bourbons anywhere in the United States. Let us know when it comes in. That was directed to you.
Yeah, I don't control the bourbon, by the way. Just making sure that.
All right. And secondly, but most importantly, and the reason I wanted to chat with you for a second, is I wanted to personally thank each of you on this council for all that you do every day. And I want to ask you to pass that on to Mr. Hinkle and Mr. Harris, who are not here tonight, for some pretty important personal reasons. I read the article recently in the Mooresville Trib. I responded to that and sent a couple of comments to you guys, you gentlemen and ladies. They were from my heart and expressed my concern, and because in part that article reflected the concern of many, many, many of the folks that live in this community. So from that point, it was on target. I was able to listen to the dialogue at the agenda briefing meeting on Monday concerning issues that you guys, gentlemen and ladies, are dealing with. And I'm glad that I was able to listen to it. I thought that there was a whole group of people here speaking with you that night based on the article that came out of the Free News. And that was extremely beneficial and helpful for me to better understand and drill down into what we're all facing as a community. But to make it short and quick, because I learned last week like he did, I got 3 minutes and I'll be out of here. Thank you for your commitment to the town and its citizens, each of you. Thank you for the job. It's not always easy what you're doing, but I certainly believe, and I hope the citizens do, that you're fair. You're open to input, and you share your thoughts with the community when asked to do so. I appreciate your willingness for all of that interaction, and it is so important that council members, staff, interact and listen to their citizens. There's always half the group that's against something and half the group that's for something, and you guys are the icing in the Oreo cookie. So thanks again. Keep doing what you're doing. We can all do a better job of it, but open communication between our electeds and our town staff and the community will only help us to work together in a more meaningful way that reflects the values, the basic values of our community. So, is that my 3 minutes? I'm out of here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay.
My name is Jessica Williams, and I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but since, like he stated previously, it looks like you guys have an open agenda a little bit. So I'm going to make it short and sweet. I live on Murdoch Road, and we moved here about a year ago, and we have fell in love with Troutman. We love this little town. It's so quaint, and it's quiet, and it's private, and my neighbors and I think I'm speaking for a few of my neighbors tonight. They couldn't be here. My neighbor does have COVID, so unfortunately, I guess I'll be saying a little bit for him, but we love this town, and I think I speak for a multitude of people when I say that we are very concerned about how this little quiet, quaint town is transforming, and some for the better of Troutman, of course, and some for maybe not so much the better, depending on who it is, I guess. But I think, I know for myself, and I know for my fiance, we're concerned about how the town is evolving as far as development, residential, commercial, industrial, just pretty much everything. And I know that that's inevitable for a small town. We want to create tax revenue, right? We want to get the money in for the people and create jobs and everything like that, and that's all great and grand. But I think, we are definitely concerned about how rapid the development is, and of course what type of development it is and who that development is impacting as well. So that's pretty much all I have to say, but thank you for your time and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Other comments? Okay. Great, thank you all for your comments. We will now move to our new business. First item is a annexation request, AX 2210, non-contiguous. Applicant is Red Maple Resources LLC, Robert Davis. The project is Rocky Creek Commercial, 1.17 plus or minus acres. The pins are in the agenda. I will now open this public hearing and turn it over to Ms. Hare.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you stated, this is a request for a rezoning. The property that annexation. The property we're considering is located at 778 South Main Street. It's on the overhead highlighted in red. It is approximately 1.17 acres. It is not in the town's ETJ. It's also considered a non-contiguous annexation. We have to annex the property into the corporate limits of Troutman. This evening we'll also be considering rezoning of the property to HB. Anytime we bring property in from the county, we have to assign it a zoning classification. So that will be the next step in this public hearing process. So the annexation is required before this rezoning can be considered. And that is staff's presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer those, and the applicant is here this evening as well.
Any questions for Ms. Hare? Okay. Would the applicant like to address council on this issue?
Hello, Mr. Mayor and council staff. Thank you all for your time. Lynn, if you don't mind, could we go back to the previous slide?
Your name, sir?
Austin Hughes. I represent an applicant here. I'm a younger version of Robert. This request, really just to annex this property. It was purchased along with the southern two properties that were already in the town. So it's just to kind of bring that all together because they're all it's the southern two properties that kind of attach to it on the south side. So just kind of bring them all together, be more consistent with the area and some of the neighboring parcels and zoning.
Okay, great. Any questions for the applicant?
When you say the southern two, you have a clicker thing?
I guess it's technically east, but it's, I guess, south from the aerial here, so I could point.
We own these two parcels,
Okay.
highway commercial.
Other questions for the applicant? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments, questions from the public regarding this annexation request? Yep, come on.
I just have a question. I'm Jane Getzinger, but I just have a question. What roads is the parcel close to? I don't have my bearings there. Do you know?
May I answer?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Getson. This is Barkdale Road,
Okay.
signalized intersection, so this is Barkdale and this is Highway 21
Okay.
Main Street now.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Other questions about the annexation request? Okay. Hearing none, I'll declare this public hearing closed. At this time, we will consider approval of ordinance 2622 titled an ordinance to extend the corporate limits of the town of Troutman, North Carolina non-contiguous. Is there a motion to address this annexation request?
I'll make a motion that we approve the annexation request for, you want the pins?
You don't have to read them all.
All right, but for 778 South Main Street, the Rocky Creek Commercial, 1.17 acres.
Thank you. Motion is made that we approve ordinance to extend the corporate limits. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion is made, receive the second. Any question or comment? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. The next item is a rezoning request of the RZ 2205 applicant Red Maple Resources. Ms. Robert Davis. Project is Rocky Creek Commercial, 1.17 acres plus or minus. The pins again are in your agenda. It is 778 South Main from Iredell County residential agricultural to Town of Troutman Highway business. I will now declare this public hearing open. Ms. Hare.
Yes, sir, thank you. Again, this is the rezoning portion of the annexation that we just heard. The property, again, is located at 778 South Main. The property, before we annexed it, was in unincorporated Iredell County, and it was zoned residential agricultural. The applicant is requesting that this property be rezoned to highways business. Again, this is what we call a traditional rezoning. It is not conditional, so there's no site plan that's being presented with this. All we're doing this evening is assigning HB, the HB district, to this property in question. Again, the property that we're considering is there at Barkdale and Highway 21 or South Main Street. There is an abandoned single-family home currently on the site. This is the zoning map. You can see the surrounding zoning categories. There's HB just to the south of the property, as well as across the street where the Redwood apartments are being developed. There's also HB zoning near the interchange at exit 42. This is our land use map. There are several different land use categories in this area on our future land use map. The most significant is that general commercial, which the adjacent properties across 21 and to the south are shown or designated for. This is the by right zoning, again, so all uses and development standards that have been established by the UDO will apply to this property. And again, no concept plan is attached to the request. The planning board did hear this recommendation at their meeting last month. They made a unanimous recommendation of approval based on a couple of things. One is they felt like it was consistent with the Troutman Strategic Plan's future land use maps designation for the property. They also felt like properties that were near the site were also already zoned HB, and that the requested zoning classification would be consistent. And staff is in concurrence with the planning board's recommendation. This ends staff's presentation. If you have any questions, I'm happy to address those. And again, the applicant is here this evening as well.
Okay, thank you. Would the applicant want to address council on this matter?
Mayor and council, thank you again. This request, kind of as Lynn outlined, just to bring the parcel as it's in the town limits now, just to bring the zoning in line with the adjoining parcels. There's highway business just south of the property, the adjoining parcels, as well as across the street, and you have some residential behind it.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
I'm not even sure if this is something I can ask, so feel free to veto it. Do you care to share what the plans are for the property?
We can ask that with a.
Okay. Withdrawn.
No worries. Thank you, though.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions from the public regarding this rezoning request? Okay. Hearing none, I will now declare this public hearing closed. Council, you've heard from Ms. Hare and the applicant. We will now consider approval of Ordinance 2722, titled an ordinance changing the zoning classification of the after described property from Iredell County residential agricultural to Town of Troutman highway business. Is there a motion regarding this request? Excuse me, this ordinance.
I'm sorry, I was looking for something else. I'll make a motion that we approve the rezoning for RZ 2205.
Motion is made that we approve the rezoning request of the ordinance 2722. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion is made, receive a second. Any question or comment? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Next, we will consider a consistency statement. Please read the full statement. Is there such a motion?
Is it on 4? That's what I was looking for.
Is it on 4? Okay, I'll read it. Action describing consistency example. if rezoning to HP. Rezoning to highway business is inconsistent with the 218 Troutman strategic plans. That's not-
That's right.
It's inconsistent.
He's right.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Plans future land use map, designation for the property as heavy industrial. However, with the adjacent property zoned highway business and multifamily commercial and industrial uses in the area, the site is unlikely to develop as medium-density residential. Also, with the properties being located on a major highway and in close proximity to a interchange highway business development, seem most appropriate at this location.
And I apologize, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to make one correction. There was a typo in the report, and it's not heavy industrial, it should be medium-density residential.
Great, thank you. Motion's on the floor to approve a statement of consistency with the amendment that Ms. Hare mentioned. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Motion is made, received a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. That moves us to our next item, which is reports and comments. I will start with council comments and turn it over to Ms. Harris.
Oh, I love my town, and I love to see. Can I use my favorite word, passionate people? So, and just to Miss Williams, who came up and said she loves our town. I'm 50 years old, and I don't mind telling my age. Born and raised here, haven't lived here all my life, but I love it. And you came here because you loved it, and a lot of people want to come here because they love it too. So it is difficult sometimes when we make decisions, about, different things about the town. I won't go into a whole lot of details, but we know people love our town. So we just have to make a lot of difficult decisions sometimes, and that's all I'll say about that. But welcome to our town, and we hope you continue to enjoy it the best you can. The other thing I just wanted to say, we mentioned it in the agenda briefing, was we had a parade here, as you all may or may not have been a part of it. And I was talking to a friend, and I said something about a homecoming parade, and they were like, "For the high school? Like your high school has a parade?" And I was so proud to say, yes, we did. And there were a lot of people out there for that maybe 5-minute parade. I mean, it wasn't long at all, but just to see the town out there and involved, how involved we are with our town just makes me happy. And again, I'm ending this with a mushy statement, so I'm done.
Great, thank you. Mr. Now?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple things. Couple council members and our town manager, we attended the Iredell Economic Conference, their annual report and dinner. And I'd like to congratulate our attorney, Gary Thomas. He received an award for all the hard work and dedication to the Iredell Economic Corporation. Much appreciated. And to Jen Bossoff with the outstanding effort that she's been doing, bringing businesses and building into Iredell County. We were recognized also, Troutman, Mooresville, Statesville, but it's nice to see where we're getting the kudos for the hard work that we're doing, and again, congratulations, Gary. Also would like to wish everyone a safe and happy Halloween. We have an event here in our park that day, so I'd like to see everybody come out and support it, and it's a great event, and Emily and her staff work very hard for that day, so please come out. And also, being a retired law enforcement, yesterday we really had a tough day throughout the United States, and if everybody could just please keep our law enforcement in their thoughts and their prayers. It's a hard job, especially now in 2020, and yesterday was a pretty tough day in a lot of states, and I'm thankful our guys are safe, but I want to thank everybody for their service. Thank you.
Only one comment is 22. I don't want to go back to 20. Mr. Oxer?
I don't want to go back there either. Echo comments from Council Lady Harris and Councilman Now. But also to, we have a Halloween themed event coming up this Saturday with the Wicked Fast 5K. I will be there as a volunteer. I believe Ms. Watson, did you put together the list? So I'm humbled by your confidence in my ability, considering the assignment that you gave me. So be prepared for a frustrated councilman at the end of the evening. I'll be directing traffic, so please bear with me. But just to follow up on some things that we mentioned, that I mentioned Monday, had a great time at the spaghetti dinner that was put on by the Ruritan Club, which is a new local civic group here in Troutman. It's a great group. It was a great event, and so I encourage you all to look into it, potentially join. It's community centered, and I'm glad to have them in our community. I think they'll be a great asset. Also attended the homecoming at South Iredell, which was a wonderful event. So unlike some here in the room, I did not go to school here. I was not raised here, but I can tell you, going to that event it really felt like home. Really brought back a lot of good memories, and it was a really, really great experience. And I'm looking forward to being more involved in that type of thing. So and thank you all for coming. Thank you all for staying. It's great. It's great to see faces looking back at us in this room. So I really truly appreciate everybody that came out this evening. So thank you.
Thank you. Not to reiterate too much what has already been said, but again, it's a pleasure having you all here and to see faces. And I was joking with Mr. Now about 2020. Definitely don't want to go back there. It's a tough year for all of us. But I would like to comment on a couple of things. One is Mr. Bryant's comments, and I really appreciate you thanking this council for the work that they do. I know you understand it, if not more than others, but clearly it's difficult sometimes making some difficult choices, and I appreciate the fact that they do stay with it, and they're trying to make the best decisions that they feel is right for both our community and based on their own personal integrity. And so thank you for your comments. Ms. Williams, thank you again for your comments as well. Just we don't always respond to folks' comments, and particularly we don't do it during public comment. So don't ever feel like, well, I said my piece and they didn't respond to me. But sometimes people don't stay to the end, and a lot of times we do respond. But again, appreciate your comments to the council. They are accessible, and look forward to your continued input and response to the council. I, much like Ms. Harris here, grew up here. This is home. I was away for a short period of time, that thing called college, but somehow they found me back, accepted me back, let's say, and I've been here ever since. And I do see a lot of change in our town. I hope we're trying to make the best decisions we can, and we can't escape growth. It is in our community, it's in our state. If people know that this state has gotten an extra congressional district because of the population shift, and population-wise, this state is booming. And I travel a lot, and I see it around the state. And I think many communities in our state are suffering from the lack of growth, and we're people ask me what's the positive about your community, and I say we're growing. They say what's the negative about your community? I go we're growing, and so it's a little both. And so it's tough decisions that we have to make. It's just tough decisions that our staff have to make, and a lot of people say, well, you all are building buildings, and quite honestly, I don't. Well, I take that back. Maybe these other council members have deep enough pockets to build buildings and that sort of thing, but I don't, and I don't think we do. but clearly we are responding to the marketplace in our town. And again, hopefully people will continue, our citizens will continue to understand we're trying to make that balance of growth and moving forward with the community that we have enjoyed for a lifetime. So I understand your comments and we really appreciate it. At this time, I will turn it over to our staff and ask Mr. White if he would. He said he wasn't going to talk, so I see he has the mic, but.
Oh, I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm passing to Chief Watson first.
Well, I'll start off by adding to the sad news. Within the last hour or two, a Raleigh police officer has been shot and killed in another shot during an active shooter situation on one of their greenways, and they're still searching for the suspect. During the month of September, the Troutman Police Department responded to 337 calls for service, and this was a 68% increase from August. The increase was mostly due to more suspicious person calls, suspicious vehicle calls, and 911 hang-ups. We responded to 36 crashes, made 21 arrests, 150 traffic stops, and our officers completed 452 neighborhood patrols. The department presented an active shooter training to New Perth ARP preschool staff to help them develop a plan, in case the worst were to ever happen, and working with them on a security survey. Sergeant Baker, the commander of our SRO unit, is collecting items for my sister's house again this year for an event that takes place at the school where they basically bring in the victims of domestic violence and pamper them, provide them kind of like a shop they can go to and do their nails and hair and things like that. It's always a very, very heartwarming event for the ladies. Officers continue to go out when they're able to and go into the neighborhoods and get out on foot patrol. We're also working on starting to look for a community outreach program during the holidays to reach out to those who are, I guess you would call, like in church, shut-ins, to try and reach out to them and let them know that, the town and the police department, we care about them, and to check in on them if anybody has any questions or anything.
Just a really quick question. Do we keep, okay, let me back up some. So a lot of times when I see like some of the arrests, the first thing I do, just being honest, is look at the address to see where they're from, because I think we just have the best town. And I see a lot of people are from different towns and not from Troutman. Do we keep some type of documentation or to see what percentage of these arrests are people who are not from Troutman?
Yes, at the end of the year, I'll run a report and it'll show how many of the arrests were, local residents or out of just outside the city limits. They may have a Troutman address, but it's not within the city limits. And so we can give a breakdown of that at the end of the year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll go to Adam Lippard next. Our Public Works Director, for those that don't know his position. It's red.
Hello. No, it works. So October is another busy month for Public Works as usual. But the biggest thing that's happened this month is the lead and copper sampling. All the results came back. So just a little background. The lead and copper testing program's main objective is to protect the public from contaminants resulting from corrosion in the piping system. The program requires the water served by all community and non-transient community public water systems to meet the safe level for lead and copper as measured in the selected areas to provide optimal corrosion control treatment to minimize these corrosion byproducts within the distribution system. The town of Troutman has consistently achieved a high water quality standard, providing its customers with a safe, healthy product. We're proud to report the most recent testing completed in September 2022 is no exception. All areas tested fell below the action level limits and have received approval and certification from the Public Water Supply section in Raleigh. So I'm sure that's probably the most interesting thing you've heard since my last report. So feel free to ask me any questions you'd like about that.
Any questions?
Adam?
Yes, sir.
How's the progress on our VAC router coming? Is it on the assembly line yet, or?
I haven't got an update on that, unless Duck has.
The truck is, but The rest of it, they're expecting the truck to arrive at its factory in mid-November. We will get an update from that once they have it. The VIN number's been issued, and they're expecting the Freightliner vehicle.
Thank you.
I do want to say, Adam, thank you and your team for all you all do. It probably goes unsaid and unnoticed, but to know how important water is to a community, ask the folks in Jackson, Mississippi.
Sure.
Ask the folks out on the West Coast. It is extremely important, and we don't take it lightly, so again, appreciate it.
I appreciate that. It does go unnoticed a lot, and we do, while I'm talking, we do have some of the best water in the state, so according to standards, so we really do have good water, so I got good guys that make sure that happens, so.
Thank you.
Emily Watson next. Thank you.
Know if I was next or not. Thank you, Mayor, Council. I want to reiterate some of the things that have already been mentioned. Encourage you all to come out and join us this Saturday for our Halloween race, Wicked Fast 5K, walk or run, or just come be with us, and still need volunteers. So if you're interested in volunteering, come join us. It's at the Downtown Depot on Saturday night at 6 o'clock. Registration will stay open through Saturday, so even if you're still making up your mind and deciding if you'd like to join us, you have through Saturday to decide. So $15 for a shirt and a medal. So join us Saturday night. Also, on Halloween Day, we have our Trails and Treats, which is a safe opportunity for families to come trick-or-treat with businesses and organizations in town. It's from 4 to 6 in the park on our paved trail. So whether you're a nonprofit or just a local business, we would like to encourage you to come join us and pass out candies and promotional items for yourself. So free to participate. Just email me and let me know if you'd like to join us. Also accepting applications for our Christmas parade, which is on Saturday, December 3rd, along Eastway Drive here. Of course, the form's online, or you can come into Town Hall here and we'll help you. It's also free of charge to participate. So join us for all that as we look toward our holiday seasons, and we'll be here before we know it. So thank you.
Wait, Emily, so I can get a medal just for showing up and pretending like I ran?
We're going to need you to participate. That's for participants. Yes, ma'am.
And Emily, I apologize, I won't be able to make it. I would look forward to running, but I won't be able to make it on Saturday, so I apologize.
I had to volunteer because I beat Fiona at the last one, at the red and white, red and blue, so now I have to volunteer.
Okay.
So.
Thank you for volunteering. I appreciate it.
Oh, she's going to kill me.
Oh, yeah. No food for you.
Lou Bork, our HR position is next.
Hi, Mayor. I won't be running either. I'll be directing traffic with Councilman Aksha. So just to introduce my first time in the public forum, Lou Bork is the HR director. Been here just on the short 2 months now. Looking to really, we're looking to standardize and kind of bring a modern HR program to the town. And I've been doing that by going through all the different processes and all the systems that we have within the town. And we're trying to bring them up to modern standards and bring everything standardized as we move forward. So I hope to have more in the future to be able to report to you. At this point, I'm still just going through everything that we have and seeing where we can make improvements and what we could do moving forward.
Thank you. Any questions from Mr. Board? Great.
Next, we have Justin Mundy, our financial director.
Save the most boring for last. Well, close enough. So we're still in the middle of our audit, so sometimes people think auditors come out, they're out here for a couple of days, they leave, and it's like, oh, the audit's over. No, that's just a drop in the bucket. So they're very thorough, which is a good thing. But so hopefully in another month or so, we'll have that audit complete. No issues so far. So she said we're actually farther along than most towns, which made me happy. But we're still working to improve processes daily, just being more efficient and, just better checks and balances. So last few months, we've really stepped up our game in that aspect. So we're going to keep on that. We have a new employee that just started this week. Her name is Tanya. So if you come by, give her a wave, say hello. She comes with some good experience, so she's hit the ground running, doing a great job so far. And last thing I want to say is auto pay. We've got many different ways of paying your water bill, but the easiest for you and for us is auto pay. So come by, get a form, sign up, and it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. You don't have to do anything. It just automatically drafts out of your account. So I think last year at this time we had probably less than 100 residents on that, and now this month we had over 350. So hopefully next year at this time we'll have 700. So
Next is our, I'm sorry, did y'all have
Yeah,
questions?
any questions? for-
Next is our planning director, Lynn Hare.
Yes, we, as everyone in the town, we've been busy in the planning department. We do several different things. One of them is public hearings where we process rezoning applications and annexations. And just to kind of give you an idea of how busy we've been this year, we've actually done 16 rezonings. That between conditional and just traditional, and 12 annexations. That's in addition to all other boards that we oversee, the Design Review Board and our Board of Adjustment. So we've processed a lot and have a lot of developments that we're looking at coming on board. We also do plan review. Once things go through that zoning process, then engineers go back to the drawing board and produce plans, and they submit those to our department, where we're reviewing them for zoning compliance, and then we also have engineers that are looking at them from an engineering standpoint. Some plans, that's a lengthy process. Sometimes that plan review, because there's a lot of back and forth, we comment, they make changes, we comment, they make changes. It goes back and forth for quite a while, just to make sure everything's right. And so those can take several months. But 2 plans that we recently just approved, so everyone's aware of it. There's an apartment complex going in next to the charter school. I think we've talked about this before. It's DeWitt Weathers Creek Apartments. It's about 400 units. It was a by right project. There was no rezoning involved with it, and those plans are approved today. So once plans are approved, it takes a few months, but you might start seeing some dirt moving on that site. And then I wanted to bring everybody up to speed on the TPA group, the Troutman Logistics Project, because we do get questions about this, is what's going on with that project, because I think we're at about a year since that was approved. And we are working with them. We're doing we're going through plan review on that. And right now we're just awaiting the Army Corps of Engineers approval on it, and that's the final step for our department before a permit can be issued for them to start moving dirt on that site. So I just want to let everybody know that. We've been working on our land use map update. We started that in the spring. We had a very aggressive schedule. I've been meeting with the advisory committee monthly. We've had a couple of open houses. And I believe that we will have a map prepared for you and ready to show you all that draft next month. We have one more meeting. We got a couple of last-minute requests to make some changes to the map, so the steering committee is going to meet one final time on the 19th of October. So please, if anyone would like to join us, please do. But that's that meeting, and hopefully we'll have that to you on our November agenda. And finally, we do have a new employee in the planning department as well. Shane Harris is our new planning tech code enforcement officer. He is going to be doing code enforcement for us. He's also going to be handling issuing zoning permits. That's going to be part of his job. We went to an online system in July that the county hosts for us. So we're training him on that, and he's getting up to speed, and he's really jumped in with both feet on the code enforcement. So I'm really excited about having him on board full-time and getting him trained to take over those roles. So that's all that's going on in planning. Thank you.
Any questions for Ms. Hare? Sounds like she's still got a few things going on.
Thank you all, and appreciate staff. The first thing I would like to talk about is to add a little bit to Chief Watson. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month as a whole, and as he explained to you all, we have one SRO who's been working to try to help the occupants at my sister's house to be treated with a little extra care and special things happen for them, hair, nails, and other things up there, and we appreciate that. But the town is also a collection site we will be adding that to our notices of items that people can donate, as Chief Watson said, to drop off here at town that helps them not only with this shopping day that they have, but also just throughout the year. And I apologize, I tried to get the number of occupants that they serve, including children. And just like to reiterate to everybody that, of course, domestic violence is terrible as it is, but I appreciate what those folks do. I especially appreciate what Chief Watson and his staff does in connection with our CAT school, Career Academy Training School out here, and what they do to help recognize the day and bring attention to it as well. The second big thing that most people have noticed, because my phone has been wore out by text messages or phone calls, is why are these people digging on our greenway and putting poles there? Who authorized them to put poles? But we're getting a traffic light at the intersection of Talley and Main Street. We as a staff did not tell them where they could or couldn't put the light poles. That's North Carolina DOT, because Main Street, Highway 21, is in their custody. When the greenway was built, that was one of the intersections that was marked to go, and they are now installing that. We will have a completion date sometime soon. And the last update we had was that Duke Power has got to do something significant before it can be completed. So we expect that within a month. We also had been given notice that at the intersection of Perth Road and State Park, even though that's not our town limits, but there should be a traffic signal going up there. It could be as November, it could be as late as January, and I don't mean this as curt as it's going to sound, but until they're there working, I don't put a whole lot of faith in the timelines that DOT gives us on their project, because they change. But that is the latest update we had on that. Also, to reiterate what the mayor and Council Lady Harris said, I was raised here, went to school here, and did all these things. Growth is inevitable, and we constantly get asked, why do you all only have one grocery store? And just as a reminder for all those late arrivals, we used to have 2 grocery stores, and we used to have 5 pizza joints. And now we're trading pizza joints for coffee shops, apparently, and numbers of what's coming. And I don't know if that's people's appetite has changed or if the business models have changed, but we're down to 2 pizza places now and 1 grocery store, but several are in the pipeline. Another location, of course, for Food Line down around exit 42 has been approved, and the staff approved by us, but also with Food Line Corporate. And we have other inquiries about other grocery stores that will be coming as well. The other thing is we've had a couple people ask us, and specifically Public Works, how is it that we have holes in the streets and people are not repairing them? And quite frankly, we have, and Adam has done his job in trying to get the asphalt companies that have asked to do business with us, that we have used before, to come and make those repairs. There's been 2 no-shows and 2 no callbacks. Is that not correct? And one is coming tomorrow that we have used in years past, but they tell us too it's a delay in when they can perform the work, if we even come to terms with them to do the work. But Ray's Asphalt is the one that's showing up tomorrow, and we're cognizant that we would prefer to have asphalt in these streets instead of rock and gravel that gets slung up. One place in particular on Lytton Street, I went out this past Saturday night because of a complaint Saturday evening and put out cones, and have done so daily, but somebody keeps going out and taking the cones out of the street and putting them on the curb. So it just is an example to what you all said. We're trying to give people warnings that this is a repair area and to slow down, but somebody else thinks we're creating a hazard by putting a cone there. So we're trying to do the best as far as making people aware. Also, to reiterate the law enforcement that Councilman Now and our chief has said, has indeed been a tragedy across the nation the last couple of days. This is going to be one of the highest years for officer deaths that we have had in a long time, and that is just something that is horrendous in society. However, on the local level, we are getting more and more compliments to our officers. People are constantly coming by, and we're very appreciative to drop off food items and the police share, because Josh wants them to stay in shape. So the rest of us staff are gaining weight while his officers are not enjoying as many donuts. But we do appreciate the various individuals in the community and businesses that have taken time to on a local level to reach out and say thank you for what the officers are doing on a regular basis. The chief and I also met with a school official that bragged highly on our school resource officers of what they do. The chief is actively using the school resource officers in a more efficient capacity. For example, when the school is out, a lot of people think that the school system pays for the SROs, and therefore school's out, they're off. Well, the reality of that is, based off of the way our budget is, we as a town pay about 44% of these officers' salary when you take into context the equipment, the cost, and all that. We appreciate our relationship with the school system, but they don't automatically get off just because school is out of session. This gives time for training and things of that nature that Chief Watson has scheduled for other patrol officers and or the SROs. So we do appreciate that. Also, Lou mentioned our HR director bringing things to HR standards. I just wanted to, or more modern standards. I just want to reiterate to everybody here, this time last year is when we first I asked Emily Watson to leave a position that she was very comfortable with and help us, because in years past, one person wore multiple hats, including a little bit of HR, and Emily went into that role as employee services. It was never intended to be in an HR capacity, but she started getting things, simple things like handling our insurance, handled in a more streamlined fashion. We learned that because of things, the way they had been handled, had fell through the cracks, and I very much appreciate the 8 months or so that she gave us in that position to get at least some semblance of normality. That when we hired Lou, and as you all can tell by his accent, he was not raised here in Troutman, but he says he's not leaving now that he's arrived. But we're still waiting on his cooking, by the way. He brags his Italian background, and he's going to cook for us. But Lou has absolutely hit the ground and picked up the torch where it was left for him to have a place to start. And as the mayor, as you have reiterated to us, the importance of an HR individual responsible for those duties is going to its next phase now, and we're appreciative. And also, Justin Monday, our financial officer, talked about the processes. For the last year and a half, at direction of council, because of different things you all have seen and observed, the whole town staff has been going through and streamlining processes to try to make our constituent services better or more timely dealt with, regardless of which department that was. Emily's return to Parks and Rec, as you all can see, that has improved tremendous with some of our volunteerism. I mean, we got Jerry volunteering now, so Councilman Otter, I'm sorry.
No, Saturday I'll just be Jerry.
And I too am tasked with directing traffic. So between me and Councilman Otter, if there's an accident, it's Chief Watson's fault, because he's got to give us a class on directing traffic. But we have increased the processes and are improving them on a constant basis. And I just want to take time, as you all have done so on a regular basis, but to reiterate to the public, the staff here does a lot that people just simply have no clue, nor would it be appropriate for me to sit here and go on another hour of all the little details that it takes for something as simple as a 5K, how many volunteers, how much staff that it takes to come in and do that. And from the police chief since he has arrived in his role and getting modern training. And as you all have approved last year, we were paying for equipment that was brand new, not being used. I appreciate all these processes being improved. And as Councilman now says, we're trying to get our, what some people call honey wagon truck here so that we can improve the public works part. And everybody, as the planning and zoning have been inundated with growth, we can't put a lid on or tell people they cannot legally sell their property. But to your point, Mr. Mayor, if I could build a building, there's definitely phone calls that come into us on a regular basis of anywhere from 50,000 square foot to 500,000 square foot buildings, and if they can build them here. There are many cities and towns across North Carolina that are already going backwards. So as Council Lady Harris said, and the mayor, growth is a problem, growth is a good thing, but it's also a negative thing in its context. But overall, our town is still growing, and that is a better option than what we are experiencing with some of our towns and cities into eastern North Carolina. And I'm glad we have options for people and that they still want to live in this area instead of living in others. But that's my report unless you all have questions.
Any questions from Mr. Wyatt?
No, I just want to know when I can stop by and pick up my plate from when he cooks. That's all.
I'll let you.
Oh, yes. The early voting dates, just to reiterate to everybody, that starts October 20th, and the weekdays, it will go through November 4th, and that will be from 8 a.m. in the morning until 7:30 p.m. Now, that time for early voting is different than what it used to be. So I'd just like to reiterate, early voting is at the library, but it is October 20th through November 4th, 8 a.m. until 7:30 p.m. On Saturdays, it's from 8 a.m. until noon, but for some reason on November 5th, they're going to give us 3 extra hours. It'll be 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. But the library is doing a wonderful job down there as well, and I do appreciate what they are doing, and it gives more access, but it's taken some acclimation for all of us that have went to Troutman Baptist to vote for this previous years. It is now at the Troutman Library.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. It was easy for me to go in there and vote at the last election, and so it sounds like they're also doing some updates. So from a traffic standpoint, and so again, I appreciate what they do too in there, and all the volunteers during the voting process. I think it's important to recognize them as well, and many of them have been doing it for years, and so I always tell them we'll increase their pay, but they're all good volunteers. So thank both the library and the volunteers for that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And one last thing, and I appreciate Emily keeping me on task. This Friday night, as Councilman Otter said, last week was homecoming. We both accused each other as being the reason that score was what it was. But this coming Friday is a celebration, 10-year celebration of South Iredell winning the state championship. Other than Mooresville High School, nobody else in the county has won a state football championship. I'm sorry, one of the private schools did. But as far as the public schools, that's the case. Coaches and players from that 2012 team will be on hand and be recognized at the game. And we appreciate the fact, as Council Lady Harris says, that Friday night football still matters to our town, that we can talk about it in a meeting, but also participate in the parade. And again, with the police, Parks, Rec, Public Works, every time we do one of those community events, these folks wind up working extra hours and outside their duties to make sure that everybody stays safe. And we appreciate you all's support and encouragement when we do those programs, but most importantly, the citizens that attend. Otherwise, it wouldn't be successful.
Great, thank you. If there's nothing else, for the good of the order?
We're a hair short.
Yes.
Oh, you waiting for me to?
I am.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
In honor of Councilman Harris, I second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none. If you're opposed, welcome to stay. I think some of us are going to leave. But, have a great night, and thank you again for being here.